What's up, everybody? You are now listening to, you guessed it, the podcast for the universe. Thank you so much, everybody, for going on to iTunes and subscribing, leaving us some comments and some feedback. I really appreciate it. It's helping the podcast grow, and it's helping to reach out to more and more people. I challenge everybody to go out and share the podcast. Talk to your family, talk to your friends about it. Send it, post it, Facebook it, tweet it. Share the podcast with everybody that you know. We'd really appreciate it. It helps it grow and expand because we want to elevate and raise and change the planet. Is that too crazy of an idea? I don't think so. So we got a shout out to Pamela Good. Pamela, thank you so much. Pamela's a listener out there somewhere in the universe, and she went to our GoFundMe account and she donated some cash. She donated some energy and some love, and I really, really appreciate it, Pamela. It's going to help us here at the podcast grow and do what we need to do to keep expanding. So, like Pamela, go to our GoFundMe account. You can find it on our Facebook page, or just go to GoFundMe.com and search out Energy is Love Podcast, and you'll be directed directly to it. Also, if you want to become a sponsor of the podcast, reach out and contact us, energieslovepodcast@gmail.com. Couple of things we got to get through real fast. I'm going to talk fast. I'm going to speed up and talk really fast. We have to thank Crystal Water Float Spa. Crystal Water's been the sponsor for the podcast since its inception, and it's an amazing place to float. If you live here locally in Utah, anywhere along the Wasatch Front, come out and float at Crystal Water Float Spa. You're going to love it. They have the amazing Dream Pod float tank. First off, the design of the tank itself, absolutely beautiful. And then when you crawl inside, well, you don't actually crawl. You kind of sit down, lay back, and relax inside that float tank. You're going to see the difference because they're aesthetically beautiful and incredibly functional. Inside the tank, you have lights, you have music built in. You just get to lay back and enjoy floating. Now, Crystal Water is the nation's only distributor of Dream Pods. They have minis now available, mini Dream Pods, which are smaller versions than their full-size tanks that are more suited to fitting into your home or into a smaller business. Online, crystalwaterfloat.com. Go to their Facebook page, Crystal Water Float Spa. Reach out and contact them if you want to seize your own Dream Pod. Have it shipped to your location, maybe your new float spa, your new float center, maybe your house, for heaven's sakes, who knows, but contact them, get a hold of them. They can get you a Dream Pod today here locally in the United States. Wonderful opportunity. So reach out to Crystal Water Float Spa. Next thing we got to talk about is coming up this Saturday, July 30th at the Dancing Cranes Import in Salt Lake City, Utah, is the Soulworks Fair. It's the 4th anniversary of the Soulworks Fair. It's a great time to come out and check out the fair, all the different readers, healers, past life, mediums, tarot, massages. They've got everything at this fair. It's a wonderful, wonderful event. And we're going to be there. The podcast is going to be there recording. So it's a really good opportunity to come out and, like I said, not just enjoy the fair, not just enjoy Dancing Cranes, but you get to be on the podcast if you'd like. If you're a listener out there in the universe and you want to come sit down and be on the podcast, now's the time. Come out. Remember, Saturday, July 30th, Dancing Cranes Import, Salt Lake City, Utah, 673 East Simpson Avenue, Soulworks Fair, 4th anniversary. Big day, big event. Check it out. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Remember, go to our Facebook page, Energy is Love Podcast. We love hearing from our listeners, and we love all the support and the feedback that we're getting from the podcast. So go out there, subscribe, listen, share the show. Love you very much. Love the universe. Thank you for all the support. Energy is Love Podcast, the podcast for everybody knows it. Shout it out. The universe. On today's episode, this is another episode of Float Stories with the owner and founder of Crystal Water Float Spa, Jim Millman. I call him Jimbo. His friends call him Jimbo. You can call him Jimbo too. Him and his wife, Huey, opened up and owned Crystal Water Float Spa. So Jim and I are really good friends, and he came on the show finally after trying to get him nailed down for this interview for quite a while. He's a busy, busy man. But he came on the show and we chatted about a bunch of different stuff, not just the spa, not just about us and how we met. Our recent trip coming up, Jim and I are headed up to Portland next month in August to go to that National Float Conference, which we're really looking forward to. We talked about floating, we talked about the spa, and because this is the Energy is Love podcast, we did get into some pretty deep stuff and some pretty deep topics. Jim shared some personal things personal things that I hadn't even heard about him before or learned for the first time. So it was a really unique opportunity. I always say it's a really unique opportunity, but this whole experience of doing the podcast is a unique opportunity. I love Jimbo. I love his wife, Hui. I love Crystal Water Float Spa. Now you guys get to sit back and enjoy this episode with my amazing, wonderful, sweet, kick-ass friend, Jim Millman. Here we go, guys. Energy is Love podcast. Enjoy.
You're listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
Energy is Love.
The Energy is the Love podcast.
The Energy is Love podcast.
Energy is Love.
The Energy is Love podcast.
The podcast for the universe.
The Energy is Love podcast.
What's up, everybody? It's the Energy is Love podcast. You know it because you're listening to it and you subscribe to it. I don't know why I continue to say it, but I think I just like the Energy is Love podcast. Jim, how we doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. How's it going?
Wonderful.
Good.
Finally, we had the opportunity to coordinate schedules and align stars in the universe and get to sit down and do the podcast.
Yeah, without the moon blowing up, yeah. We finally made it.
You're a busy man.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Non-stop.
Yeah.
Non-stop.
That's a good thing, though.
Yeah, I mean, other than a little bit of sanity here and there, yeah.
Well, that's not important. Who needs it, right?
Yeah, I guess I could live without a little bit more of it, yeah.
So
Busy all the time, though.
Yeah, you are busy all the time.
Yeah.
It's hard for us to touch bases and kind of coordinate shit, but I think we do a pretty good job.
Oh, yeah. It's usually on the fly. You go in one direction, me go in the other.
Yeah. I thought it would be fun to kind of start off if we shared, not necessarily because it's a float story, right? Because we're obviously Crystal Water Float Spa and everything, but shared our story of how we met, but from our own perspectives.
Wow, that's a loaded topic.
I'll go first, make it easy on you,
Okay.
give you time to think.
Okay.
So I started floating last year after I had done a bunch of research and kind of found it and came upon it in my spiritual journey of searching out new and wonderful ways to expose myself to the universe and blah, all that shit. But started floating. The only place at the time that I could really find or that knew about, where I could go float was in Salt Lake, which is, for those that don't know, it's probably about 45, maybe 50-minute drive from where I live, and you take into consideration the time to get there, time to float. It just wasn't ideal. But I still loved floating, and it was wonderful. I only did it a handful of times, and then, you get busy with life and everything, and then it was also inconvenient to try to get in there and float. And then I found out, I don't remember even how, I think I saw something pop up on Facebook that Crystal Water was opening up, and it was coming to Twila, which is much closer to where I live, much more convenient. So I got super excited about it. Started watching and paying attention and trying to find more information. And then I think at that point you guys had the Facebook page up and I was following it and everything. And I saw that, it looked like you were open or that you were opening soon. So I come drive by the shop one day because initially I just wanted to pop in and check the place out. I wanted to see how the hell there was going to be a frickin' float center, a float spa in Twila, because it's a unique thing to have out here.
Twila.
Yeah. So I wanted to see what the layout was and kind of what the setup was going to be. And I came in and you were here and we met and everything, and you were real sweet about walking me through and showing me everything. And right off the bat, I was super impressed. I mean, you guys, and I've told you this before, but you guys just did a hell of a job with not just the layout and the structure and the way that everything's set up here at the spa, but just great energy, really, really good environment. So I was super jazzed about it. And you were really cool and really nice. And so I go home and talk to Steph, and I'm sitting there thinking and brainstorming, and I'm like, it would be wonderful if we could go there and work in conjunction and have a place set up where we could do our energy work and have a space to kind of do our stuff. Because up to that point, we're doing fairs and different events and things like that. And then we'd see clients from time to time at our house. And it was working out and everything. But there's a level of, I don't know, professionalism, or do you know what I mean? Even assumed professionalism if you have like brick and mortar someplace that.
Well, that'd be like having a float spa in the basement of my house and inviting the public. They come in there with their, all nervous about, I'm going to somebody's private residence. There's a whole different thing about a professional business.
That would be funny if you tried to run one out of your basement.
We thought about it. That's what my wife wanted to do to start off with.
Really?
But no, I wasn't going to let that happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then Steph is like, yeah, dumbass, go do that, because that's a great idea.
Yeah.
And then I think I probably waited another 2 weeks before I came back and talked to you because I was nervous and hesitant. And
Right.
had to let it sit and marinate a little bit longer. And then ever since then, man, it's just been great.
Yeah.
It's worked out really, really well.
Well, we found this building, and we had looked and looked and looked, and we were real hesitant about opening something like this in Tooele. We didn't know how the community would accept it, if the economy was willing to, help us keep it open once we did open it. It was a big, I don't know. I mean, just the brain waves that it took us to just push forward with it once we actually decided that that's what we wanted to do. There was a lot of animosity there about, is this going to make it?
Yeah.
So the first thing we had to do is we looked around for buildings and we didn't want to be rent poor right to start off the business with, and we come across this little building here, and it was literally just trashed. I mean, when I brought my wife in here and she looked at it, all she could say is, "Oh no, no, we're not here, no." She wanted to be out by Home Depot or something, and those places out there are nice, but they're just way up above what I was willing to start the business with, and so we decided, I kind of pushed her towards this, and once they actually gutted the building out and you could see an open space, and we designed all the layout and all of that stuff, and I put a sign in the front window that says "Coming Soon, Crystal Water Float Spa," and that's what we kind of solidified the name being Crystal Water. And
did you guys just brainstorm that around? I've never asked you that before. How'd
yeah,
you come up?
when you look at a good float tub and you look in it, it's just literally crystal water. I mean, it's crystal clear, and that always stuck out in my mind as far as when I looked inside of a float tank, because we like to float too, and we kind of went through some of them same experiences traveling and just to get to a float center, and it just advantageous wise, you give up half a day just to go into town to do a 90-minute float, and the 90-minute drive in, the 90-minute float, 90 minutes back, you're looking at half the day's gone, and then getting in some of those places was kind of a hassle too. So that's what brought us actually to the thought we needed to open our own, and so I put this sign in the window, and they papered up the windows and started building and stuff. And I was here one afternoon, and this guy shows up at the front door there, and I opened the front door, and it was Craig. It was you. And he says, "Are you guys really opening a float spa here?" And I just kind of smiled and said, "Yeah, we really are. We've got tanks coming, and where the building process has begun." And so we talked there for a little bit, and he says, "I'm going to be your best customer." And for me, that was a really enthusiastic thing for me, with all the doubt that I had, while I was trudging forward in the business plan, and hey, we got at least one guy that's going to come. Yeah. So, and I don't know, it was probably a month and a half later, we're still in the final phases. We've got the tank set up. We didn't have our hydraulics on the lids yet, so it wasn't opened up yet. We didn't have our licenses and stuff as far as that goes. So, but then he shows up again and started talking about spiritual intuitive stuff, and I don't know for sure what I believe as far as all that goes. I'm still kind of up in the air myself mentally. I know there's a lot of stuff out there. So, and so, I mean, that kind of piqued my interest too. And I thought, what the heck, I'm willing to open up that door and, help somebody else out too. I've been helped a lot in my life. Nothing's ever been given to me, but I'm a very helpful person, and my spirit tells me to help. So, so we just told Craig.
I love the fact that, because you're always like, I don't know, I'm not, and I'm just like, fuck, Jim, you are just a spiritually connected man. Yeah, super in tune with tons of stuff.
They tell me that, but I just go with my gut instinct a lot of times, and if that's spiritual, I guess that's what it is. But I think people inside are inherently one way or the other. They're either good people or they've got problems. And I always try to live my life like, how would I treat somebody that treated me a certain way, you know, and you know, I kind of live my life by those rules. If somebody treats me good, I treat them good back, you know, and even if I don't know them, I try to be the first person to treat them with respect and dignity, and make that kind of
Get it started off.
Yeah, solidify that right off the bat. This is who I am, you know. And that's just kind of what I live and die by, and that's kind of how we met and got started.
Yeah.
And you know, we threw your name up on the window, and
I know I loved it because it was like, sweet, I get to go and set up a space at the spot. That's going to be, you know, I didn't even kind of know what to expect, or it just, in my mind, I had this really clear idea and vision, and everything just worked out so damn well.
Yeah.
And every week it was like I'd come back home and be like, baby, he's going to let, you know, we're going to put information up on the window, and we're going to throw stuff up on the website, and we're going to do all this
put
different
stuff up on the wall, and have some oils. And,
Yeah.
People coming in and having spiritual conferences and floating afterwards, and it's been pretty cool.
It has been cool. It's been super neat.
Well, for me, it's been neat just to watch your business just bloom. I mean, I've watched it literally explode in many different facets, you know, as far as people coming to see it, and they've got a business place to go, and there's, you know, and then the podcast. I mean, that's been really fun for me to watch the podcast. I enjoy listening to them too. So
I don't know. I know I've mentioned it before on the damn show, and obviously everybody's heard about our Crystal Water Float Spa and the promos and all the advertising and stuff like that, but we record the vast majority of the episodes here at the spa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it just works out perfect.
Yeah, it's a nice little place, nice little recording room. And
yeah, the one we did this morning, he comes and records, and then he get done. We had to wrap it up because he had to go hop in the tank.
yeah, he was getting ready to miss his appointment, I guess. That's funny. Yeah, but it's been a pretty cool venture altogether. I mean, it's still pretty young. We opened the 20th of January, and you know, we're at the 20th of July, so we've now been open 6 months. So you know, it's hard to believe that it's already been 6 months, but
went by fast.
Yeah, it did. I can't imagine 5 years down the road what the road's going to lead to at that point. You know, it's crazy.
When you started, I mean, you have this idea, and you kind of get to the point where you decide, okay, we're going to do this, because you and I've talked, obviously, and I know that all the in-depth research and kind of looking into everything and planning everything out and trying to really, you know, because obviously you're a truck driver, man. Your background is in no way, shape, or form not only floating related, but opening and running a spa. Yeah. It's insane.
No clue. Yeah. No clue.
So you do all that heavy labor and all that work ahead of time, all that leg work ahead of time to get everything up and running. I mean, I can't, because I know you well, but this is a huge act of faith.
Oh, totally.
Because it's like, I'm going to take this opportunity.
I dumped every penny that I had into this, you know. Yeah, so I still got to go to work, you know, to make sure that there's enough to cover it if something goes bad, you know. And but I've been a businessman before, you know. I haven't always been a truck driver. I'm a music teacher by trade. I went to college and, you know, learned music, and I can teach K through 12 music education, and never taught a day one of school. You know, there just wasn't any money in it to survive, and I was a single parent, and so I opened a construction business. And you know, since I was really young, I've played with tractors and trucks and all that. So, you know, as I was growing up, I drove trucks and bulldozers and all that good stuff, but it just wasn't what I wanted to see myself doing when I was 50 years old. When I turned 50, seeing those dotted lines going by in the middle of the night, clear out in the middle of nowhere. And so that's when I went to school. But, you know, I did the school. I've run a construction business. I had my own construction business. We did remodels and building houses and roofing projects and all of that good stuff. And that grew so rapidly that it scared me to death that, you know, I was getting too big too fast, and so I sold that business and become a taxidermist. I had a lady teach me how to do taxidermy, and so I mount fish and big game heads and all of that, and we had a 4-day flood that come through our building, and it rained solid for 4 days and drowned out our building, and freezers unthawed, and it was just a nasty mess, and we lost everything in the business. So of course that was the end of that. Yeah, that was enough. And that was back in Wyoming. I'm from Wyoming, and that's about the time that I decided I just wanted to get out. I'd had enough of Wyoming. And so I moved down to Salt Lake and went to work for a Mormon family up in Bountiful and running trucks and heavy equipment and excavators and stuff. And then I kind of fell into the Walmart job. I figured if I was going to drive trucks, I may as well drive for the #1 company in the world.
Yeah.
I've been with them now for 11 years, and it's been a really good gig. In fact, if it wasn't for them, I would have never met my wife. I'd have never been able to go overseas, and probably would have never had enough money to put this spa together.
Yeah.
So business-wise, I had kind of an inclination of what it was going to take to open a business. But I didn't realize all the little kinks and binds that went with building a spa.
Yeah.
You know?
It's a unique,
Oh,
I mean, it's unique in itself too, is it's not like a typical, it's not a spa like you. It's not some nail salon. It's not some place where people can go and get their hair done and massages and things like that. It's a really unique market.
Yeah.
Sensory deprivation and the float tanks and everything like that. And so it brings its own completely long list of headaches and
then you
mishaps
get to looking just at the tank that you want. You know, there's hundreds of different kinds of tanks out there, and we chose the Dream Pod out of Asia, and you know, there's shipping and imports and all of that stuff that was involved in it, and I had to take care of all my own brokers and all that to get these tanks over here. But you know, which was at that time, it was kind of, you know, it pushed me away from that tank. But every time I was, you know, doing my research, I always went back to those Dream Pods because they were aesthetically beautiful tanks.
Yeah.
And, you know, it seemed like the hardware and the pumps and everything that went along with the tanks was really high quality. And you know, but there wasn't very many of them in the United States to really get a firm feel of them. You know, they're
be able to call up somebody and find out.
Right. I mean, I was able to get a hold of a couple people that had them. At the time when we got our tanks, ours was number 9 and 10 in America, and now there's quite a few more since we've opened up just in 6 months. You know, I bet there's 20 or 30 of these Dream Pods in America. But we've recently become a distributor for the Dream Pods. And
I know, as you're sitting here talking, it makes me think, right? You keep coming back to the Dream Pod, and granted, it's a great pod, it's a great tank, has all that cool stuff, but I can look at it from the perspective of the way I look at the world and the universe. I'm like, there's some divinity there. Mm-hmm. There's some reason why you're being pulled back to the Dream Pod, and you end up going with the Dream Pod because it's leading to bigger and better things.
Bigger and better things, yeah, exactly. Plus, you know, just aesthetically, I walk into these float rooms and I see that Dream Pod, and it just almost makes me giggle every time I see them, because knowing what I went through to get to them and get them here, it was worth every penny that I spent for them. You know, it was the right move, and I didn't know that there was more in the future for that, you know, besides just opening a spa. And you know, everything's kind of panned out a little different, and we're taking we just received 4 pods from Singapore this morning and got them unloaded into the warehouse, and we're taking 3 of those up to the float conference next month. You and I are going up, and we're taking 3 of the original Dream Pods along with us. You know,
it's just cool.
We're taking the black Stealth, and we've got a white one, and then we've got the mini Dream Pod that we're taking up, and yeah, it's unbelievable how everything just shifts gears so much. You know, it's been a really, really cool ride.
I think it's been a really, really good example. Like this whole, you know, even just the first part of the year, January on, it's been a really good example to me, and really kind of one of those things that just reiterates my belief system in regards to not just manifestation and the law of attraction and positive thinking and all that kind of stuff, but really the idea of when you get into that good place and that good flow and that balanced space, whether it's, I mean, just when you're in a good, happy place when it comes to life and things like that,
right?
Good shit happens.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, it's amazing. If you don't allow the negative in, and you expand on all the positive around you, it's a life changer. You know, and I don't believe in negatives. I believe you attract what you protrude from inside yourself. You know, so if you're going to project negatives from yourself, that's what you're going to attract. You know, life's like a magnet. You know, you are who you associate with.
Yeah.
You know, it's a real fact. I mean, and I've just, it's been all positive for us since we opened up, and you know, a lot of headaches and a lot of trials. You know,
I know that's the other thing I'm sitting here thinking about. You know, we're talking about how it's been wonderful and it's been great and all these opportunities. And like you said, next month we're going up to the float conference and we're going to be doing all the floating stuff and hauling up the tanks. And then we got podcasts up there and
podcasts, yeah,
tons of cool shit that's coming out of it. But at the same time, you and I both know, because we're friends, we know each other, it's been a rough year.
Oh,
it's been challenging.
It is.
It's been hard.
Yeah, I mean, this month, as far as the spa's concerned, has been the worst month that we've had since we opened the doors. I mean, it's barely made the bills, you know. And that, to me, that's pretty nerve-wracking, you know, for everything that we've put into this. And, you know, really we brought it to help people. You know, it does so many wonderful things for people, you know, from fibromyalgia to arthritis, you know, right on down. For myself, it helps me sleep. So, you know, and then people like yourself get in there for a couple hours and just meditate and come out and say, holy cow, that was the best time I've ever meditated. You know, it's just, I mean, it offers so much for people, and just, you know, people just don't come. You know, it's July, you know, it's hot outside. Everybody wants to be fishing and camping and, you know, running and gunning and softball and all that good stuff.
I was thinking the other day we should run something where we, you know, we're turning the tanks down and you can come and float in a chilly bath of salt water. Come cool off at crystal water.
You know, I mean, who knows? That might be the thing that gets somebody to come in. I'm telling you. You know, it's just, but it's been a kind of a rough month, and we're still not done with the month. Hopefully we get out of this and move on to, you know, kids will be going back to school, and, you know, parents will have a little more free time on their hands. And, you know, I think we've, you know, educated the community well enough, but yeah, I can say that, but I don't know. I don't know what it takes to draw people into here without spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars trying to do some kind of mass marketing of some sort. And really, at the end of the day, does that do any good?
I know, for however many people we talk to, how many people see our stuff, you know, you're going to get one or two out of that. But.
Yeah, we've done clinics and expos and fairs, and, you know, in 6 months we've done so many things. And it's crazy when I look back on it, you know, just you and I, the expos and stuff that we've went to and handed out business cards and raffled off, you know, gift certificates, and, you know, did everything we could to entice people to come in. And, you know, and hey, I'm not disappointed with what we've had. I mean, just for the first 6 months that we've been open, I guess I can say it's actually been pretty exceptional. You know, and all I can hope for is that it just keeps growing from this point. You know, eventually everybody will know your name.
I think it's one of those businesses, like I said, it's unique and it's different from a lot of other things out there. But at the same time, it's still just a business in one way, in one regards. But I think for me, the way I think about it, Jim, and the thing that I try to do, and any energy that I can bring to the spa is good energy. But I think about just the mere fact of floating and how beneficial it is for people. Right. And I know how strongly you feel about, you know, just getting people in the water and helping people.
Yeah.
And if we keep that momentum, and if we keep that kind of the focus, and like I said, I know it's challenging and I know it's hard, and you're the business owner and I'm the guy that, you know, hangs out and records podcasts and does shit, but it's challenging. But I think that the focus and the intention of helping people, because it really, honestly, truly, and it doesn't just help people. I mean, you know, there's a lot of people that come and float that their life has been significantly improved and changed because of the tank.
Yeah.
And so staying in that vibration and that thought, and in the end, the people will come.
Yeah, that's how I, you know, that's the only way I can look at it, you know, of just keep moving forward, you know, keep the doors open, and, you know, eventually they'll keep coming, you know. Yeah. I mean, we've got a bunch of them now that keep coming. You know, we've got some membership programs, and we've got quite a few people signed up for the membership. They come every week, and there's people that are faithful. They don't miss a lick. So, you know, and the more that happens, and the longer we're in business, and the more people word of mouth and stuff, you know, there's still people that I talk to that live here that haven't even heard there's a float spa here.
That's my favorite.
So it's, you know, it's kind of crazy, you know, when, especially for me and your aspect, we've been out there beating the streets, and I'm the kind of person that everybody's a customer. So I carry business cards and brochures with me everywhere I go. I go in the grocery store and buy a steak or a can of soda pop or something, and that cashier has a business card before I leave her register. And I spend a couple minutes talking to her about it, and she's never heard of it either. And she's, you know, one of the local girls.
Yeah, Steph got pissed at me. Well, she didn't get pissed at me, but it's one of those where she kind of elbows you, you know, under her breath. And we were actually at the liquor store. We were picking up a bottle, and the lady that was checking us out, I noticed that she had like the psoriasis or whatever it is, eczema,
Right.
kind of real bad on her elbows and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there getting ready to pay, and I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, God, I know she needs to float. It's going to help her floating, but then that's an awkward thing to kind of
to
call
break.
somebody out on it. So
Hey,
I did it,
you got psoriasis. You know? Yeah.
did it real delicate as best as I could, but she was excited and she hadn't heard about it.
Yeah.
You know, and so I don't know if she's been in or not, but it's the same thing. It's just that idea of planting and spreading that word. And,
Well, and that's me too. I don't know how many people I've given cards to that actually worked, and because I'm not here all the time. So, you know, I'm gone 5 days of the week, and I'm here on my 2 days off, and physically on the telephone all week long, you know, dealing with spa stuff and situations that come up. But I don't know who comes and goes, you know. And I see these names, and I watch these lists keep growing. So, you know, maybe I'm the one that's, you know, blind to really what's going on here. I look at the books. So, you know, I get kind of nervous when I know we're just barely going to cover the month's bills. But, you know, I know people are coming, you know. And I look at the books every day, you know, oh gosh, we got 8 appointments, or holy cow, we got 13 today, you know, and those are the good days. We'd like to see this thing back to back to back to back, you know. I mean, the girls that we got working take pretty good care of what's going on here. And my wife, she's just anally clean. She's constantly cleaning. So when you walk into our spa, number one, you smell a spiritual cleanliness in the spa just from the time you enter the door. It's deceiving on the outside, but when you open that door and come in, the whole world changes. It's you know, we know that there's a lot of people down in LA and movie stars in Hollywood and stuff. They spend a lot of time floating, and it's a movie star sort of thing that they do down there, and it's part of the in crowd type deal. And when we built this, we kind of wanted to lean a little towards more of a richier place to go, and but in a Tooele frame of mind, price wise. And so when you open that door and come in, it literally is a different world, and you smell it, you see it, and you experience it when you come in, because the pod rooms are clean, spotless. You know, we offer the top of the line spa soaps and shampoos. It's all organic soap and shampoo and conditioners, and you know, we supply the towels, we supply the earplugs, we give them tea, and imported Chinese tea, flower tea, and cookies after their float. And you know, and you go to other places, and you know, they charge you rent for the towel, and you know, you're lucky to get a glass of water on the way out the door. And so we kind of wanted to go a little bit further out there, you know, cost effective wise. Maybe it's a little tough to compete, but you know, when you come to our spa, you know, you're going to get treated. You know, number one, somebody's going to greet you at the door. They're going to walk you through the process, and you're going to be catered to from the time you come in till the time you leave. You know,
and you see it. I mean, you and I both see it when we're here and everything like that, and it's wonderful. And that's what people talk about is not just how amazing the floating is. Because I mean, fact is, like, you could probably set those up in the basement somewhere, and people would come and still float
because it's
so
about
amazing.
the water.
But people are going to keep coming back because of the way the spa is,
right?
All the people that are here
and how they're treated when they're here. You know, it's a pretty cool setup.
So I have a deeper question for you, because you're a fan of the podcast. You know, we get into some deep shit sometimes.
Oh boy, it gets pretty rough. You need a spoon to get yourself out of it.
Sometimes it does get pretty deep. when it comes to faith, like I was talking about, it's a big act of faith to open up a business, any business, but to kind of go into one like this, I think it's unique because, I don't know, I really think it's a unique thing, and I think you took a big leap of faith, and I applaud you for it.
I don't know what I was thinking.
But it makes me sit here and wonder. I'm like, first off, like growing up and things like that, did you have much religion or faith or any sort of parameters in regards to...
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I was growing up, I must have went to every church known to mankind. When I was a kid, we went to the Nazarenes, we went to the Southern Baptists, we were members. I was baptized into the Seventh-day Adventist Church.
Really?
Yeah. And religion-wise, if I was to put a pinpoint on my preference to religion, I believe that I was a Catholic, so I kind of lean towards the Catholic religion if I'm going to speak religion. But, religion to me has always been in my heart. I don't necessarily have to go to church or show my faith in a congregation. I've never really been that kind of religious buff. I believe in something higher than myself, but I've never, felt like that I absolutely had to go to church in order to, feel good inside myself. Yeah. So, religion to me is in my heart and faith is in my heart, and nobody can make that or take that from me. It's all about what I perceive. Yeah. So I've never been a big church goer and stuff like that. But I was exposed when I was a young kid, and we went to church every week. And I had a lot of good friends that were in church, as far as the congregation used to take us out arrowhead hunting out on the desert in Wyoming every Sunday afternoon after church. We'd go out for 4 or 5 hours after church and just go walk around the desert and pick up artifacts. And it was really cool.
That is cool.
At one point I thought maybe if I was from a different life, I was just out there picking up what I'd left from a different life.
There you go. That was your past life.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's way cool.
Yeah, and now I make them and, chip rocks and do flint knapping and just love it,
Yeah.
My hands don't, but I do. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. But
so think about that, and then I want you to think about the leap of faith that you had to take with kind of stepping into the space, open up the spot and doing it. And the question is, in your life, because you're a man that's lived a lot of different, you've lived a life, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And can you recall some moments in time where you kind of had to take a leap of faith and it either worked or it didn't work? And the follow-up question after that is, how did that affect your overall faith? Because a lot of times we go through something and it gets fucked up and we think, why did I make that decision? And it takes sometimes years before we see the purpose of the reason behind it.
Yeah, but I've spent my whole life doing that,
Mm-hmm.
Tackling things and getting so involved in it. And there comes a point where you put so much into it and it's just not happening.
Yeah.
And I'm one of those guys that's like a bulldog that grabs a moving car's tire at 45 miles an hour and just refuses to let go. Beats the heck out of you and you just refuse to let go. And so I'm, once I put my heart to something and my mind to something, I don't know the word quit until I'm just broke. It's almost like gambling.
Yeah.
You can't gamble if you don't have another quarter to put in the machine or another buck to put on the table. But that's kind of been my life, up and downs like that. And, I'm 55 years old and I still don't know for sure when I'm going to grow up or find my purpose in
when
life.
You're going to get this whole being adult thing.
Yeah, I got like 50,000 things going on at all different kinds of times. And I look back and sit down in the evening and go, oh crap, I forgot to do this. Oh my God, what do I got to do tomorrow? It's just like it's been a never-ending battle. So that's a tough question.
Yeah.
Because I've had highs and lows, and I've been to the White House. I've been around movie stars and sang and performed with a lot of pretty talented people, and here I am being a truck driver. instead of a singer or a musician, or, when all those qualities are there. But, it's just a different path at different times. I find myself, I get really interested in something, and I'll excel in that until I perfect it. Now it's time to do something else. It's a typical Gemini, I guess. I'm constantly got a couple people in here that I'm battling with inside myself. And once I've perfected something, I like to kind of move on. So it's a really tough question, Craig.
Do you ever has there ever been a time period in your life where because I think you do have a really positive outlook on life, even sometimes when things are really hectic and busy and challenging. I think there's a part of you that still, lays your head on the pillow at the end of the night and goes to bed with, happiness in your heart and kind of an outlook on life where everything's going to be all right, even though I can't see through the weeds right now.
Right.
But was there ever a time period in your life where you kind of didn't have that, where it was kind of so overwhelming and so challenging that you couldn't really see it? And I got when my father died, it's been almost 20 years ago, and I had a buddy come over to my house and say, hey man, you need to try some of this. So I tried some of this, and it ended up being some kind of crack or something. I didn't, or crank or something, but it sent me off a deep end, and I got hooked on some drugs, and it took me a long time. I had to find my inner self to pull me out of that, because I was dragging me down as fast as I could try to find any positives in my life. And that was back when your dad died?
Yeah, right after my dad died. And so I was already down as it was. And because my dad and I were fairly close. We hated each other as I was growing up, just because we were so much alike. But, the older I got, the more close we got. And, he was a big influence in my life, kind of the stepping stone to where I am today because of him. He was a workaholic, and he never said no. And when he set his mind to something, he didn't quit till it was done, And so it took me quite a few years. I was in that rut, and it's a wonder I wasn't homeless, and trying to raise kids at the same time, and it's a wonder I didn't lose my kids. And finally, I just decided, this guy that's in here isn't this person. And I fought and got mad at it and battled it and kicked it, and I've never went back there since. And it's been over about 17 years. And it's the best thing I ever did was, but my youngest daughter died because of the same thing, and she got mixed up in drugs and ended up homeless, and we lost her last June, my youngest daughter, and so there's, it's the last year I lost a lot. Lost my mom, lost my youngest daughter, and I put my sights on opening up a float spa, and I stuck my nose to the ground and I built a float spa, and haven't looked back since. And I think about them all the time, and it just, it goes to prove to people that, there is other ways than when you're down like that. You just got to dig inside yourself and find that spirit that you got, that fighter that's in there, and I know I've got it, and my daughter had it too, and I couldn't figure out why she didn't find that, before it was too late. And we tried everything to help her, and it was just, just everything that I did to help was like putting the truck in reverse.
Yeah. It's so weird,
instead of moving forward and using that as a basis, hey, my dad's here and he's helping me, and, I'm going to battle this and beat this. And it just, everything I did, it seemed like it put the truck in reverse and helped her go the other direction. So,
yeah,
it was a pretty trying year,
For sure. I think sometimes, and, I think sometimes when people get stuck, whether it's in addiction or even just depression, when they get kind of stuck in that space where everything is so dark, sometimes it doesn't, it could be the brightest light. You could do as much as you possibly could, and it could all come from that place. Because sometimes people, think they're really helping, but they're really just making the person feel worse because they're coming at it from a bad perspective.
Right.
Whether, speaking kind of in tongues and negatives and things like that. And so, but I think when you're really trying to help somebody, it doesn't really matter what you do in the end, because they're in such a dark place.
Yeah.
that it almost has to come from some sort of higher power, some sort of source outside of everything, because people just get stuck.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
that's
it's really, really challenging.
Yeah, that's a tough ditch to be stuck in too, because it'll take you down, you know. And I could have been in that same ditch, but I just, you know, I'm a fighter. You know, I've always been a fighter, and I had to literally bring myself back up out of that all by myself. Going to some detox or any of that stuff would have never done it for me. It would have just made me feel worse about my situation.
Yeah.
I had to find the happiness inside me for who I am and focus on that, or that higher spirit that we talk about. You know, I found something in there that I grabbed onto, and I just kept pulling till I seen daylight, and I didn't look back at that hole. I got away from that hole.
See, it's so weird. I was talking to Randy this morning, the guy that came in and recorded an episode, and he suffered through quite a few years of addiction and his own kind of trials and journeys and everything like that. And we were trying to come up and discuss about the idea and the concept of, I mean, some people are able to grasp a hold of some little beacon of light or some little thing and pull themselves out of it. And then other people will have the same, I mean, they may even have the same thoughts. They may even sit there and think those positive things, or, you know, that glimmer of hope, they have it, but then for some reason it goes out or it's dimmed, and they can't come out of it. And it's just weird.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure that it's not one thing. It's never one thing, because you've got biology involved and genetics and all those other kind of different factors. And it's just so interesting to see what makes the difference between people that are able to, and like I said, we're not just talking about drug addiction here. I mean, it's everything. There's depression and sadness and mental illness.
You and I have known each other now for about 8 months, and I've never had this conversation with you. You know? And so,
and we've had some good conversations.
Yeah, and I don't talk about this very freely with just anybody. You know, my wife don't even know that, but it's just something that, you know, for myself, I dug myself out of that hole, and I don't want to look back at that. I want to, if I look at it in any way, it was a positive, because I know what not to do now. Yeah. You know, and not that glorifies any of it, because it wasn't a glory position. You know, it wasn't. I was miserable, and I used those drugs to help hide it, and all it did was just, it masked life. Yeah. You know, and I've always been a pretty happy, lively person, you know, and at that stage in my life, you know, there was 3 years that there was no life, you know.
Well, it's understandable, obviously, that it kind of came in conjunction with the loss of your father. Yeah. Because that's a copious amount of stuff to deal with.
Well, right, and it was right at that exact moment too. You know, we just lost him and one of my good friends too just showed up out of nowhere and, you know, put some stuff in front of me, and I tried it, and boy, I went like a wild banshee for weeks and weeks and weeks, and, you know, it's a wonder I didn't have a heart attack from all that stuff. But, you know, it was the best thing I ever did was, you know, pulling myself, and nobody could have pulled that out of me. Only I could have done that.
See, that's one of the things we talked about this morning too. It doesn't matter in the end.
No, it doesn't.
It's got to be somebody, you know, it's that person, that individual that has to have it in order to. And it's weird. I mean, it would be great if it was something that we had a very specific way, or
to help everybody.
Here's a 3-step process, a 10-step, a 12-step process that it's proven, it works. Right. Do this, and you're going to pull yourself out.
But there's no set guideline for what it takes. It comes right inside the gut, you know.
See, I'd love to sit here and think that, oh, it's just energy. Like, you just give me the opportunity to do some work on that person, to help that person, to help, you know, bring some insight. But the reality is, it doesn't matter how much energy work, you know, I can do. If they're not open and if they're not ready, it falls on deaf ears.
Yep, exactly.
Fuck, Jim.
Yeah.
You got deep there for a minute. See?
It's crazy.
It's the Energy is Love podcast.
Energy is Love podcast. It's been good.
What are you looking forward to most when it comes to the conference?
Oh, my gosh.
It's going to be busy.
Well, I'm hoping that I get to take a nap.
Just a nice little afternoon nap.
Yeah, I almost decided that was going to be the recourse for this afternoon, but I looked at the clock and it's 1 minute after 10 or 10 minutes after 1. I told Craig we'd have a podcast at 1. We've been putting it off for 2 months now.
Yeah.
Just haven't been able to put it together. So I put my shoes on and I said, I got to go down because I told Craig we'd do it today. And, and when I come around the corner and your car was there, I said, I'm glad I come down. Man of my word.
Yeah.
Man of my word. Yeah. So when I go back to work, I've been off now for almost 20 days. Hard to believe I've been off work. It's been all work in 20 days too.
Yeah.
My relatives from China came and we went to Yellowstone and down to Bryce and Zion and went boating for a couple days, and it just I'm ready to go back to work, get a vacation from my vacation. Holy cow, I need to get some rest.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels like that. That's what it felt
was.
like for me when we took the kids to Disneyland.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah, we're done. We're home.
Yeah.
You guys go do your thing. I'll do
Everybody
mine.
Get in the van and shut up. We're going home.
Yeah. We had a good time. But it's ready. It's time to get back on track. Everybody's been covering me at the spa, and I haven't been at work, so it's time to get back into the groove of life and get back and make some stuff happen. I got a lot of stuff around here that I need to take care of to pick this thing back up again. I don't like to, me, I'm in there elbow deep every day trying to make something happen here, and exposure and bringing the word to people, and because I do believe in floating. It's everybody, floating's not for everybody, but everybody should be floating.
For sure.
It's the best thing you can do for yourself. If you've never floated, gosh, man, find a float pod and jump in that thing. It's amazing. It's a miracle place. It's magic what that water does to you, and it clears your brain, and you come out of there feeling relaxed and rejuvenated, and then don't hesitate coming back in next week, because it just rubs off that rough side and gets you some more of that good magnesium absorption. And
I know I'm pissed. I think it's probably been like 3 weeks since I've floated.
Oh, man, I know it's been at least 2 for
Yeah.
me. Yeah, they kept sending me messages today. Hey, you can get in at 1:30. Hey, how about 4:30? We can get you in. And I'm like, you know what? I'm probably good because I got so many things going on. It's just.
See, we're making up excuses.
Yeah, it
Jimbo,
is. It's an excuse.
We're
yeah.
doing that thing where we chalk it up to being busy, and we got all these obligations and all these things, and neither one of us are taking care of ourselves and putting ourselves up there.
Right.
And
all stressed out and, beat up from the week. And, the best thing you could do for yourself is crawl in a float tank for an hour.
what we should
even
do
if it's for an hour.
on the trip down to Portland, or I guess up, because it's probably not down.
It's up, yeah.
On the trip up to Portland. Unless we go the long way.
If we go the long way, we're in trouble, man.
We should throw one of those tanks up and just take, let's fill it up.
Yeah.
One of us can sleep in the tank on the drive up.
One on the drive back.
I think that'd be a nice float.
Yeah.
Going down I-80.
I was thinking. I was thinking we need to go and see our buddies float on up there, and maybe see if we can get in and snag a float from those guys. We did offer them one while they were here.
We did offer them to
So it's
hop
not
in
like
the tank.
it's not like recourse wouldn't come back around to haunt us or nothing.
My guess is they're probably going to be stinking ass busy.
Oh
during
yeah,
that week.
yeah. They're probably. That's what I heard something here not too long ago. That hey, if you're planning on booking a float over the float conference, you better make the call.
Yeah.
Because we're already booking up tight. So
Yeah, we should look into it.
yeah.
I think it would be cool.
Well, we could go up to Dylan's spa, or float on. There's 3 or 4 spas around there that I know of.
Did you see they're doing that thing where they do like the tour of the float spa centers in Oregon, like in conjunction with the conference?
Really?
Where it's one of the evenings, I don't remember which one it is, like Thursday or Friday night, they take you on the nice little tour around Portland and check out all the float spas. And
really?
everything
I
like
didn't
that.
hear that.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Well,
That'd
we're
be
going to
fun,
be
huh?
there. I mean, we're going to be there like 3 days before it even starts. So we
Yeah.
got to do something to fill out our time.
Take that nap.
Yeah, take that nap. Look for margaritas and some seafood or something.
I know.
being
I've
in
never been to Portland. Have you?
No, yeah. Yeah, Portland's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited. My kids were pissed.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, because I told them that we were going up and everything, and all of them, all the teenagers, the boy obviously was kind of indifferent to it, but all the girls were pissed that we're going. because they want to go.
Well, that's why I haven't told my wife that you're going with me. You know, she might actually create a divorce, you know, because I told her she had to stay and work the spa.
Yeah.
Yeah, she wasn't happy about that, but I told her, you know, she's going on vacation at the end of September, going back over to China for a couple weeks, and I was like, hey, you know, somebody's got to take care of the spa while you're gone. So, you know, we're all gonna have to hit the office and keep the spa running while she's gone. And, you know, of course, I've already ate up all my vacation time, so I'm going to be dependent on everybody to...
We'll get it covered.
Yeah, we'll take care of it. But I just told her, you know, you're taking a vacation, and we've got to take care of this thing for 2 weeks, and we're only going to be gone 5 days. So, you know, it's the least we can do is just let us go do our thing. And, you know, I mean, it's going to take both of us moving these pods around.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of work.
Yeah, we just unloaded those 4 today. If it wasn't for that forklift, I'd have been trashed by now. Yeah, it's going to be fun though. I've been looking forward to it for, oh gosh, since we opened this place up, and I started researching the float conference and looking back over a couple of their past years, some of the conferences that are on YouTube. When I decided to open this, I did a lot of research, man, from how it helps pregnant ladies, to watching YouTube on float conferences, to Joe Rogan, to, you know, I mean, what happens when you smoke marijuana and crawl in a float tank, and, you know, and I mean, I've done a lot of research, you know, pretty knowledgeable about it now. I mean, not a scholar by any means, but if
big base of insight.
But if anybody's spent the time researching, it's been me.
Yeah.
You know, and I know where to look for certain, like when we did our pregnancy deal, I went in there and I researched and I studied, and specifically for pregnancy and postpartum, how it would help them after their pregnancies. And man, there's so much information out there that's a benefit from floating. You know, it floors me every time I get in there and actually have a specific thing that I want to research on. And there's all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's available, and there's not a one of them that I've ever seen that says, "Oh yeah, floating's bad for you." Not one.
Yeah, there's not some study out there that proves, you know, that much.
Yeah, that it's all a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah,
yeah, no,
it's the cause of arthritis itself. It doesn't actually heal.
Or you come in, you come in and you do your float and you come out like a leper or something. You know, that just doesn't happen.
I never really thought about that. You don't really get the flip side of it where anybody's talking about.
Yeah, you don't.
That it's not good for you.
Yeah. I have never found a case yet in any of my studies and research of a negative, you know. Well, I go back to it again. Not everybody wants to float. Not everybody actually likes to float, but everybody should be floating. Yeah. You know, just for the benefits of it. And, you know, out of 1,000 people that have floated here, we've maybe only had 1 or 2 that said that it wasn't for them.
Yeah, but those are those assholes.
Yeah,
those are those people that are going to pick apart anything regardless.
Yeah, it's this big 6'5" burly guy that's got so much hair on him. He looks like a gorilla, you know. And he come in because his back's bad, his hips are bad, he broke his neck, and you know, he had all these issues, and he got in there and said that the salt made him itch for 3 days after his float. Well, you're supposed to take a shower after you're done. You know,
wash the salt off.
I think he just got out and towel dried off and come out and walked right out the door and called us 3 days later wanting his money back. And so, you know, we don't ever hesitate about that. We gave him his money back. Yeah. We want happy customers, or you know, it's just not a good thing. So, and that's all I could figure out, that he just didn't take a shower after he got out. I'm not in the room with him, so I can't prove what happened and what didn't happen, and I don't have cameras in there, so it's
I can't imagine anybody ever kind of having that. I mean, you might have some mild adverse reaction or something like that, but it's going to be a really specific reason for that. I mean, the mere fact is we already have salt in our system. We are already made up of water, so we're not putting you into anything that, you know, is a foreign substance or anything like that.
Like a vat of acid or something, you know, it's going to eat your skin to death. You know, it's just not, that's not a float tank, you know. And our water, we test our water every day and make sure our salt levels are right and our pHs are right. And of course, we put the peroxide in it and have the ability to add chlorine when we need to. And literally, our water is crystal water, you know. And so I never feel guilty or feel any animosity of telling somebody, yeah, you know, hey, this is one of the cleanest environments you'll ever crawl into. Because, you know, these drain pods are pretty efficient machines.
Yeah, they are.
You know, pretty efficient. So, but yeah, I'm excited to put them on the stage this year for the first time. And
that's going to be cool.
Anybody out there that's interested in buying a drain pod or having one for your house or your office building or whatever, we've got a mini that'll fit right in your closet. And
how cool would that be?
Yeah, it's way cool. You should see it. I looked at it. I mean, I just got one today and got the black one, and oh my gosh, they're beautiful machines.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And the minis, you know, it's not half the size of a full one, but it's a little bigger than half size. It's more of a torpedo looking shaped one, but it looks just like, if you look at it from the side, it looks just like a regular full blown drain pod.
Does that?
Yeah. Yeah, you couldn't really tell the difference until you got on looking straight at it, you know, from the front end of it.
I'm sure you crawl inside and float.
You're not going to tell the difference, you know. I mean, I've floated in samadhis, and they're a little more confined, you know. They're 4 foot versus 6 foot. And so, you know, I couldn't see that this would be any different than, you know, crawling in a samadhi as far as size-wise goes. So, but I'm real excited to see them all unpacked and see what they look like on the stage.
It's going to be neat.
Yeah, it's going to be way cool. It's going to be way cool.
Well, Jimbo, I think we did a hell of a good job.
Yeah, it's about time we got a chance to sit down.
I know.
I mean,
that's one thing I'm looking forward to, too, is, I mean, I enjoy spending time with you and hanging out, and we're always rushed and doing stuff, and so it's going to be nice just to get to relax.
It's going to be nice. Exactly. It's going to be a well-deserved break
from
the action. It's going to be, we're going to have some work involved, but it's going to be more of a learning situation. We're going to be exposed to the world of floating.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm really stoked for that.
I know. Those days, I mean, I am excited. I've been thinking about it nonstop. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll be here before we know it.
I know.
Get your Jane Fonda stretches done, because we got tanks to move.
Yeah. What do you think? I was thinking of this earlier, too, because we talk about, you know, the first half of this year, you open up the spa, you start doing all these things, we kind of meet, everything kind of expands. What do you think that, you know, it's hard to forecast what's going to happen with the rest of the year, like what's going to happen in the next 6 months? Because I would have never guessed in July I'd be here. Do you know what I mean? I never would have guessed in July that my life would have kind of spun in this way or this regard. But
well, I'm hoping that it continues to build. Mm-hmm. You know, we'd like to have our own piece of property and build our own building and expand it out to a place where we could have a big studio for you and have anywhere from 4 to 6 pods, or maybe even a float room or 2. Yeah, including the pods. And then Ronnie's signs, she could put up a little sign shop in there too, and, you know, be doing her vinyl signs, and, you know, maybe have some T-shirts and silk screen or screen printing or something in there. You know, make it a big enough building that, you know, has some options for people in this environment over here. That, you know, it's all old buildings or all these buildings that you can't even afford to get into. You know, but that's the ultimate goal. You know, we're kind of here for 3 years as it is, as far as what we did on our lease. Mm-hmm. And so once we get towards the end of that lease, we'll have a little more firmer grip of what direction we're going to go, you know. But I've enjoyed having it here in Tooele. You know, it's more of a hometown feel, and most of the hometown people have come in and are really, you know, accepting it.
You know, I think it was a good choice. I think that, you know, say for maybe you decided you're going to go open it somewhere up in the valley in Salt Lake or something like that. Granted, you've got, you know, more population, you've got more people there and things like that. But I think there's an aspect of being in the community here that in the long run is going to benefit you longer. Yeah. Where you're going to have that. Do you know what I mean? It's much more common for people to talk to each other in a smaller community, spread that kind of word of mouth experience and things like that.
Well, the biggest question I get is, what possessed you to put it in Tooele?
Yeah.
That's a question that I just can't answer. I mean, there's a lot of factors that had us put it here. My wife doesn't drive, and she can't just go to work anywhere. And no better business than your own business. Those are all the factors that led us to putting it here.
Yeah, you can't beat a 5-minute commute.
No, and you can't own a business and have to depend on the transit to take you into town to open your business.
Yeah.
And so, there's a lot of factors, and that's just a question that I can't answer. When they ask me that, it's like a trick question. You just kind of look at them and roll your eyes. I don't know what I was thinking, but yeah, it's been an experience, and I'm glad that we actually had the opportunity. People ask, why Tooele, and oh my gosh, we've really got something like this in Tooele. That's the statement that I like to hear.
Yeah. When
people say, I didn't know we had something like this here. What a great idea, and I go back to it again. Not everybody wants to float, but everybody should be floating.
Everybody should be floating.
Yeah.
All right, Jim. Well, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for going out and doing all that shit with the with the podcast and everything like that. Jim, thank you for taking the time, man.
Absolutely.
I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I've been excited to do the show, and I'm really glad that we finally got the time to sit down.
We finally did.
Yeah.
That's good.
Well, everybody go float.
Yeah, and don't forget to float, man.
Yeah.
Everybody should be floating.
Go float and go have a wonderful, beautiful day.
And if you don't know where to float, floatlocators.com.
There you go.
Type in your zip code, and they'll tell you where the nearest float spot is.
That is a good resource.
Yes, very good.
Goodbye.
Don't allow the negative in, and you expand on all the positive around you. It's a life changer. Religion to me has always been in my heart. Well, you're supposed to take a shower after you're done. You just got to dig inside yourself and find that spirit that you got, that fighter that's in there.